we go. Looks like it's going. I just wanted to say a couple quick words. So everyone that's on, thank you. I will be serving as the moderator today. The goal is to have a great discussion between two great people. We got the Mortgage Geek, Sean, out of San Diego, works with Cornerstone, and we have Denise, Texas, working out of Thrive. She's the mortgage nerd. Everyone is currently muted, and so if you have questions, throw them in the chat box. We'll try and get to them at the end. And I just kind of wanted to hop in and start by saying, thank you so much for making this happen. This, is a big deal, I think, for the industry. Having two great personal branding icons that have understood the value of what a personal brand is, especially in this business climate, to be able to have a persona that people recognize, I think is very valuable, not just now, but even in the past 3 to 4 years with the expansion of digital marketing strategies. And so we wanted to learn a little bit more about what was that process like and what are you doing now in today's, again, climate to have that ability with the concept of a personal brand to leverage that and some other items. So with that, I mean, who wants to kick it off? Maybe Denise, ladies first, in terms of how long you've been in the business and just a quick few minutes on your background.
So I technically got in the business for like 6 months, right in '07 and '08, which was horrible timing. But I graduated college, worked in a phone sales, it was a straight commission. You had to make 400 dials a day, and it was very, very aggressive. And one of the guys that worked there was like, "Hey, you're really good over the phone. I think you should come work in mortgage." And I was like, "I don't even know how to spell mortgage. I don't know if that's a good idea." So I ended up working at this broker, and everything that you saw in the movie The Big Short is how I felt the company was that I worked for. I mean, lease agreements on copier machines, whiteout, and I'm not blaming loan officers for the housing crash, but that was my first step into it, and I think I was like 24 or 25. Made really great money, but the company went under, couldn't fund loans during all the housing crash stuff. So I just said, you know what, screw this. This mortgage space isn't for me. And I went and started working at JP Morgan Chase. And I took a big step back. I was used to making, X amount of money on all these loans. I was probably closing 30 to 40 loans a month at this mortgage company. So you can imagine, pre Dodd-Frank days, the kind of income you're making. And I remember in my interview to work at Chase Bank as a personal banker, it was they're like, we'll pay you 7 PVCs if you get a debit card. And I was like, PVC, so it's like $7, 7 pennies. It was $7. So it was a very humbling experience. Took a step back. They wouldn't hire me as a loan officer. I had to go through all this crap to even become a loan officer. So long story short, became a financial advisor, took all the investment licenses. It was something I'll never regret because I gained a lot of financial knowledge about retirement funds and stocks and bonds and mutual funds and how to profile clients with suitability and all that kind of stuff. Um, I found my way back into the mortgage space and in the 2010, 2011 timeframe because I really feel like as a mortgage advisor, if done right, you can actually impact a client more than you can as a financial advisor. And you have a little bit more control. I am kind of a control freak, so taking someone's money and investing it for their retirement funds and hoping that the stock performs well when we have stuff like what we're dealing with right now is frightening. But as a mortgage advisor, if done well, you see someone's debts, you see their assets, you see their credit, you see somebody completely vulnerable and naked. And so I felt like I could make a bigger impact with my clients and teach them finance, which I think our communities and our countries lack. Um, Became a certified mortgage planner and left the big bank and the big brand. I got my mortgage license April of 2012 and have been branding myself as the mortgage nerd ever since.
And so then, I mean, having that experience is, I think, valuable, as you mentioned, as it plays into your current role. And how does that compare, Sean, with how you kind of moved into the industry? And
Yeah, I mean, very, very similar. I graduated college. I moved to San Diego. Two of my friends, actually, I was on vacation. They were moving. I went out one night and was like, well, I need to move here. So I went and signed the lease. Didn't have a job, and I just flew back home. My dad said, "How was it?" And I said, "I'm moving to California." I ended up here. I was actually so poor at the beginning that I had a room, but I actually literally didn't even have my own mattress. So I slept on the carpet of my place for the first 2 months of living in California. But I got picked up by somebody, and very similar to Denise when they said, "Hey, do you want to, come in here and start working on mortgages?" This was 2004, and I was like, "Well, cool. I know nothing about it, but here's what I do know is that I will just work harder than anyone else. I'm not the smartest guy on the planet, especially with finance. I didn't study that in college, but what I do is I try to listen to consumers. I'm really good at taking notes, and I'll just be here 7 days a week, 12 hours minimum a day, and you just tell me, you teach me what I need to sell, I'll sell it. And that's how I got in, and then I got recruited, and my career started taking off. It was pretty interesting because I did get to experience the high life beforehand of 2004, 5, and 6. And then I got to experience what it was like down in the trough, down in the valley. And let me tell you, that was rough. But one thing that I always kept in mind, like when everyone switched over to starting doing, modifications and doing all these different types of businesses, is that I just stayed true to who I was. I stayed true to educating and always looking out for the consumer and not always looking out for my pocketbook. So staying true to that was always like, hey, this product is better for you on a long-term basis, and here's why. And so I was just doing refinances, and then in 2009, I switched over to purchase money transactions. So I had one realtor in 2009, and to this day, I've closed over 1,200 in the local San Diego market. So it was just kind of staying true and really kind of looking out for the consumer. And I always say, like, if you look out for the consumer first, money will follow. If you go out and go try to chase the money, then you're going to go constantly going into the ups and downs. So in 2000 and I think 10 or 11, 2011 is when the Mortgage Geek, because I was on a radio show and they were like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I don't know." Somebody was like, "Mortgage Geek." And I was like, "Cool." Because I don't know about anything besides mortgages and cars. And that's it. So
Well, I love the
Mortgage Geek started.
the commonalities. I mean, the hustle hard and having to know the hard times along with the good times and putting the customer first, I think is always going to be a winning formula.
Yeah.
In terms of what you guys are doing now, I think most people are familiar with your brands, Mortgage Geek, Mortgage Nerd. So how do you feel you're able to leverage or have been able to utilize that in today's market in a positive way?
Well, I think for me, it's funny when I started branding myself as the mortgage nerd, a lot of it was because the average person doesn't know how to spell Denise. They spell it D-Nice or Dennis. They sure as heck can't spell my last name. And at the time, I was working for a company named Sente Mortgage, and they had a hard time spelling Sente and mortgage. And so I was like, I don't care what you call me, just call me the nerd. And so everything that I do from a client standpoint now, so this is many chapters later in my life of progressing as a mortgage nerd today versus where I started. But now any client that I help write a loan for, they get welcomed into something I've coined as the Nerd Club. And it's kind of a unique club. You have to do a loan with me to get in. So it creates that kind of vibe that you're part of something. One of my marketing classes in college, Texas A&M, by the way, best school in Texas, taught me that brands like Harley Davidson, like people love the brand Harley Davidson so much that they literally tattoo it on their flesh, which is pretty crazy. They have to feel so compelled and connected to that brand. And so ever since then, that's just kind of always stuck with me that I want my clients to feel so connected with me and so part of the community that we're building that it's almost like this tribe that they can lean on. And so I've coined things like the Nerd Club alum, even my real estate agents. I have a specific private group, Facebook group specifically for them And it is for my exclusive agents. It's not for someone that just works with me sometimes and I put very specific content in there. It's stuff that they can basically just swipe and adapt to. But the whole premise behind Nerd and Geek, I think to a degree, is that when you're dealing with finance, you want a nerd and a geek on your behalf. Yeah, that's kind of where we stand out. It's kind of like bringing sexy back to the nerds and the geeks out there because it's cool to be smart, especially financially smart in our line of work. And so we're making it cool again. And for me, it was also to a place where a mortgage loan can be so confusing to consumers. There's a lot to it. And so if I put myself in a category of a nerd, it kind of lowers me down and just is making it a little bit more inviting to let's just have the conversation. You don't have to be fearful that your FICO score is great enough. You don't have to be fearful that the number of jobs in the last 12 months that you've had. I don't want them to be fearful. I don't want them to be afraid to go to that doctor's visit.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. You don't have to be intimidated by a nerd. Let's just talk. So that's kind of how.
Psychology, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The psychology of it in terms of what you're thinking through with regard to that makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree with the keeping it easy to spell, spot on. Yeah.
Those are so like when one of my nerds have a baby, we send them little onesies with their nerd glasses on it. So it's exactly what you're saying in its brand identity. Every time someone sees a Nike swoosh, they know it's Nike. When someone sees the glasses, I want them to think the nerd. And lately, you can go to Target and see a t-shirt, or there was this monkey that says talk nerdy to me, and my clients take pictures of it and send it to me. And so that is also branding. When they see that, they're thinking of me. I didn't have to send an email for them to think of me. Didn't have to send a text message. They're thinking of me naturally and organically. And that's when you know your brand is working.
How's that compare for your thoughts, Sean?
I mean, I love that. Like, let's talk about the Harley Davidson, right? Harley Davidson is what the most well-known branded motorcycle that breaks down the most out of anything. Okay, so like, all these different brands will be like, ours is way better and they don't break down. And Harley Davidson, the actual motorcycle itself, yeah, it's powerful, but it does break down more than all the other motorcycles do. But people go, I'm going to deal with that because of Harley Davidson. And what it is, I like where Denise said, it's simple. And when we try to get too complex, that's when we actually lose people. And we try to bring it down into simplicity. And the more simple that we can make it, the farther it goes, and the more people feel that they can join the group, right? And the more people that join the group, and that we're all like together and in this together, the more comfortable they feel, and the more comfortable that they feel, then they don't bring up a lot of obstacles, or it's not a stressful path for them in life. And when it's not stressful, then they feel like they can trust us. You know what I mean? So like you're saying, like, I am a geek, like whatever, like
Pulling on your inner your inner nerd,
no,
your inner
I don't
geek,
know
and
that much. Yeah, I
making
don't
that
know
work.
that much stuff about a lot of different things, but I really dive into what I do know, and I want to be that support, Mortgage Geek. And when they see the glasses or they see my little logo, they know, oh my gosh, that guy's really fun, but he's also very knowledgeable. And so, like, when I did that one video of me doing a makeup tutorial, right? Um, it was fun to watch it get almost 500,000 views in 10 weeks with like 400 comments saying I learned more in that video than I have ever before. And it was because it was very simple, right? But I was also putting on and allowing myself to be vulnerable and to be kind of, I'm with everybody else. Like I'm in the herd. Like, so it allows that. I think just feeling a part of something. So I think that, like what Denise is saying, like I do a separate Facebook post or a Facebook group, and allows us to really kind of feel, everyone wants to feel a part of something. So if you create
The
a
relatable
brand,
aspect of it.
yeah, so by creating a brand allows people to enter into that. Now it's a brand that everyone else can kind of tie on to. It's like now we're kind of like the exclusive club, so they feel good about it. So that's why I think that branding is actually so important, because you don't have to sell. You can actually create a brand that sells itself. So
I would agree. I have to mention, prior to being in financial services, I was in computer software. We did a webinar the company was based in Switzerland. We did a webinar on with Harley Davidson as a guest because they were a customer of ours, and it blew up worldwide because of that. Everyone knows Harley, so like the branding aspect pulled people in, and it's just a lot of fun to see that in that commonality of what people are drawn to. So in terms of that, are you able to, I mean, we talked a little bit on leveraging, but what are you guys, are you doing anything right now? Because Sean, I know you are, so I want with regard to using the visibility of your brand to help raise awareness on positive causes that are going on right now, in particular with what you're doing with your food drive.
Yeah, no, definitely. I want to use the brand and go horizontal with it and help as many. So I like to do a lot of philanthropy and I like to give back to the community. So I own a restaurant as well. Most people had no idea. So I posted it up like, hey, the Mortgage Geek owns the restaurant downtown. And people were like, man, I've been there so many times. I had no idea that you own it. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't go out to the public saying, I own this thing. Like who cares? So this is not who I am. So yeah, so it got a lot of publicity out there and it like fed. So like last Saturday I was able to open up my restaurant, which is actually closed right now, and I serve 350 families for free. Um, and then
I think that's what the power of having a recognizable brand can do when you have that community. People want to support one another in terms of helping when it's needed. You know, you mentioned a little bit of advice that you guys have in conversation already, but are there some like key nuggets or information that you think, okay, if I'm watching this right now, I'm thinking about starting a brand, you know, what advice might you be able to share in terms of creating that brand? Denise?
I think this is where people get way overcomplicated. Sometimes the brand could specifically just be your name. I'm speaking more from a real estate agent standpoint, but I think the key is that you have to be super authentic to it. Sometimes I see things out there that's like super cheesy, and I think that they think if I give it a cool name, I don't want to say a name, but if I give it a cool name, then that's what people will remember. But there's not really a connection to that person as an individual or even to the industry. So it's kind of like, if my logo was a water bottle, it has to make a connection between either who you are authentically or somewhere in with that falls in line with the industry. Like I am deep down a nerd. I've always been a nerd. I'm a basketball stud, but nobody knows that. If I was in the sports line of work, then I would be showing off my skills. But deep down, I'm a nerd. Anybody that knows me knows that through and through. And so I think if you're sitting there and you're a real estate agent or you're a loan officer, I would just caution you that it doesn't have to be something cheesy and catchy just because you think it has to be, it has to be an actual tagline. It could actually be your name and you'd have a cool logo. Like one of my real estate agents, her name's Carrie Himmel. She's got a really cool CH logo and she kind of brands it on everything, but the branding and the vibe that she's created is at every closing, she will put a big red bow. It's kind of like the red bottom shoes of Louis Vuitton. She puts a big red bow on the door of every house for a home buyer or a home seller. And she's always got them taking a picture in front of that big red bow. And so it's just funny that there's been this sense of this, she's created this desire of people from relocating from California that are moving to Dallas, Texas. They find her on Instagram because they see these really cool looking photos and the pictures and stuff that she posts. You can tell she is authentic who she is. She'll make a post with no makeup and her hair up but her brand is Carrie Himmel. It's the experience that's going along with it. So she's done a good job with associating her name and capturing the service and experience that she provides in a clever way. And that's what's created ultimately the brand. So you don't have to be like the real estate chick and then the icon be like the chick and that be on everything. It's not the chick, like I'm actually talking about a baby chick. That's an anchor, that's the logo, but it's got to associate well and it's literally got to be consistent with all forms of marketing, whether it's social media or your pictures, or it has to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts, Sean?
Well, first of all, someone said that they like basketball. I love basketball. I'm also made up a name for myself called the Sure Shot Sean because I like watching and one. So I'm gonna say I'm actually coming to Texas. I was supposed to be there this right now today. But Denise, so you and I, when I come to Texas, we're gonna play and we're gonna film actually us playing basketball.
Yes.
That's why you can even see like Michael Jordan, Johnson, like basketball is my thing. So anyway, sorry to get back.
Are you watching the Chicago Bulls thing? Not to sidetrack too much, but
Of
you
course
guys
I
are watching.
am.
Okay, yeah.
So if you walked into my old office, no joke, people were like, "Wait, am I doing a mortgage or am I at Foot Locker?" And I have all the Jordan shoes in glass cases
Oh my gosh.
that have not been worn on display.
I have an encyclopedia of Jordans.
What?
Man, you gotta do an Instagram story on that or IGTV. I'll wait for it.
It's actually a great documentary. I had the opportunity to sit by next to at a wedding up in Oregon by the one of the gentlemen from Nike who signed Michael Jordan. And he told me about that, and I was just blown away. I was like, no one thought that it would go where it went. That's what was so cool, and that's what's so cool about branding. Let's bring that back to branding, right? Is that no one thought that the Jumpman would be Michael Jordan's valuation is $2.1 billion. Technically, is he the best basketball player? Black Mamba, I love you to death. I think you're amazing. Sorry to see that you're not here. Michael Jordan, you are the best, but technically on paper, there's actually been technically more shots, more rebound, more um, you know, more points scored per game and stuff like that. But Michael Jordan, jump man, that actual symbol and that branding is way above anybody else will ever reach, and that is the power of branding. Um, so I think it's something. Here's the difference: when you brand something that's actually you, your brand will just continue living through you, right? Compared to trying to think of a brand that you think that the consumer wants is kind of that's a challenge because you're constantly going outside of who you are to create a brand or to create an image. So I like where Denise said you can take that chick, you can put it on every single car, you can paint it on the outside of your house, you can do all that kind of stuff. But if that is not you, then that is literally you most of your day will be, trying to brand yourself. And so you're actually defeating the actual purpose of allowing the dream to live. Um, Mine is,
Me as a takeaway, look inside yourself, understand who you are, what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and see if there's opportunity there to roll that into a brand that you are comfortable with short and long term.
100%. Like I take off these glasses, okay? I put on my bike outfit. I'm the mortgage geek. I put it on my jersey. And I actually live the brand. And because it's not difficult to not live the brand, like any event that I go to, I just put on the glasses. Like I'm Sean, I'm the mortgage geek, glasses on or off, right? But it's really simple. Here's my prop. Here's my thing. So it's very easy to live because of who I am, right? And so that's where I think a lot of people they sit down and they try to choose a brand what they think the consumer wants instead of creating a brand of who they are, and then the consumer wants to be part of you. Does that make, you know what I mean? It's just two different approaches.
Let's
Um,
transition from that then. So you've identified what you feel might be successful within yourself. What digital channels are you seeing success with regard to the output of that digital brand, the promotional aspect of it, things along those lines?
so this is cool. This is a good conversation for Denise and I, because like even though she copied my glasses, and just joking. I think she actually came out the glasses before I did.
I did.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Trademarked the glasses.
I poke. Yeah. um, this is a good conversation for you and I, because check this. Denise will speak more about it too. YouTube is really like a really good place for you, right? YouTube is not a good place for my brand. It's a good viewership of my brand, but an actual ROI, it's not an actual good return. So it's the way that each person does it. Like I've spent a lot of time in the YouTube world. So if you go to like my channel, you know, I don't have as many subscribers as Denise. I'm not sure. I just go off of I think that you crushed me on subscribers, which is incredible. Applaud. And my views are like 2.5 million. So you would think like, oh my gosh, like you would have just so many people coming in. I don't have really anyone coming in from YouTube. Most of mine is actually through Instagram and through Facebook. Um, so the style of my brand and the style of my videos lands better on Facebook and Instagram. And no matter how much money I put into YouTube, I will never be able to convert like Denise. So don't just try to follow what other people are telling you, because there's social media is so many different types of platforms, and it's a different type of viewership on each one if they're going to activate or not. And a view doesn't mean just anything today. It can give you a little bit of notoriety, but actually turning into, like an ROI, I think you need to find that. Denise, tell me a little bit more about your stance on that.
Yeah, so I think Facebook has definitely been my number one, especially because our real estate partners are the ones that bring that annuity of clients to us. And then I incubate them through private groups. But I would say in the last few years where I've gotten the most traffic, and by the way, I don't spend a dime on YouTube or Instagram. I don't pay any money. I just use the power of knowing the algorithms and hashtags and things like that. But I think the biggest ROI I've seen is in the groups where you could be like, crazy enough, I had a kid 2.5 years ago, and I became part of this group called the Plano Moms Group. And you're not allowed to do any salesy stuff in there, but it's basically a bunch of moms talking about a bunch of stuff. And so if someone says, "Hey, I'm thinking of refinancing. Does anybody know a lender?" You can see who they're adding in there. And I've gotten more, to me, what's really powerful is when I can get agentless clients and be able to refer those back to my realtor partners. And so from my social media, Facebook and the groups and YouTube, those are a lot of people that I can bring in that then be able to hand out to my real estate partners. And so I would say number one is definitely from the Facebook groups, specifically with realtor partners. Largest capture would be with real estate agents, getting new client partners, getting those partners to actually message me and say, "Hey, I've been watching you post and seeing you do all these things. Can I meet with you?" I love not having to make the phone call. I love the phone call coming into me. And then from a client perspective, I probably get the most from YouTube. And I do everything organically. I don't even pretend to act like I am a geek and know anything about much of YouTube other than that Google owns YouTube. And so I just knew I had to get stuff out there. And it's funny, my very first video that I put on there was explaining a HUD statement. I had just gotten my wisdom teeth out, so I have a bruise on my cheek. It's the most watched video. My twin sister is holding a camera and it's like literally going like this. It's the lighting, the whole thing is horrible. Um, and it's my most watched video because it was explaining a HUD, and which aren't even around anymore. So that's, even though it's the most watched, it's extinct at this point. But I think a lot of people shy away from doing video because they don't like the way they look or they don't like the way they sound. And it's like, but that's how you look and sound in real life. So that's a lot of what I've been doing, spending this quarantine life that we're in right now is I own a property that's a single family home that actually myself and the team office out of. So everybody's working from their own home, but I own a single family home that is quarantined and all that stuff. So we've been setting up camera crews 6 feet apart where an agent can come in, stand in front of the living room 6 feet apart and film their why story or film their what makes them different, or even things like what's the difference between a tax assessed value and appraised value. The educational piece is, I think, what so many people are thirsting for right now when it comes to social media, because there's so much noise that's out there, so much sales tactics. in present day, so much doom and gloom with all this, COVID-19. And so it's like, let's just educate. Let's educate just things that we take for granted. What is, in our world, what is an option period versus third-party financing period? What does a full e-closing look like? And we're just filming those and putting them out there and adding different hashtags. But YouTube's been very powerful with those types of videos. And I mix them up. Sometimes it's with my iPhone, sometimes it's with someone professional. But the other day I posted my hair slicked back wet in a wet bun, and it was like, this is my wet bun look for number 256 of this quarantine. I get more responses from that candidness, and I'm wearing my like typical nerd t-shirt, and because that's how I roll. I'm not the chick that wears stiletto heels and dresses. I'm a tomboy through and through and nerd through and through. So even stuff like that is still branding, but in a subtle way.
I'm a data nerd, so I'm curious, do you ever look at your website traffic, the analytics, to help understand what your visitors are interested in based on traffic? Taking out the outliers of the obvious, like the homepage, and kind of digging in to say, okay, maybe I could do a video on this when you start to run dry on ideas.
No, that would require me knowing anything about computers, and I know nothing about anything outside of mortgages. Like if you ask me the capital of Maine, I don't know. So anything I call geeks like that stuff, I should do that, but no, I would love to.
Isn't it Banger Main or no?
I
We need someone to write in the
literally
chat box.
don't even ask me. It's embarrassing. It's pathetically bad.
I liked what you said, just real quick about the groups. For a long time, I always thought it was invaluable to create a Facebook group, not around anything business related. I know you joined that group, but as a loan officer or real estate agent, creating those groups, such as like the top 10 things to do if you visit San Diego, or if you're in Austin, Texas, or wherever you might be. I think a lot of people have kind of claimed those now, but if you can think of an idea that has the commonality of the general consumer searching within these platforms of something of value, then you've created that group. You have the ability to really tap into who those people are and guide messaging within the group. Thoughts on other
I
digital
totally agree.
channels that
Someone said in the chats that the capital is it Augusta? I don't know where it went, but
Wait, where are you guys seeing these chats?
you got to
we can
open up
see
the
them. We
chat
can't.
box,
There's a chat box.
chat icon. Yeah, there's a bunch. I haven't looked at them yet. I'm going to do that later.
I actually have a question for the geek. It kind of backpedals a little bit, but do you think that let's say you're a real estate agent watching this, or even a loan officer, do you think that a person needs to have a tagline as a brand, like you're the mortgage geek? So do you think it necessarily needs a tagline in order to be a brand? Like, what would you say to that?
No. Um, but some,
That's
yeah,
where some people
it
get
has to be
confused.
there has to be something. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, it could be a tagline, it could be a logo, it could be a persona, it has to actually be something. You just have to go with it, right? A brand wouldn't be a brand without actually something. That's just my thought process, right? So like it could be your name in all, like you're saying, like all red, right? Red lettering or whatever. It doesn't have to be, it can be whatever, but it does have to have something along with it to create the brand so that they can track onto it, or you're just you're in the noise with the rest, right? You're just yourself. That's just my personal opinion. Pretty much right. No, what do you think, honestly?
I
I think
don't
you
know.
have
I
to have
think I
something.
think sometimes people get tripped up in like having to have like your mortgage superhero or your mortgage, I think sometimes people get caught up into having to have a tagline, and they're like, everything's taken that I would use. And so I would say to that defense is like the real estate agent that uses the red bow, and she's got the red letters, and when someone buys a home, she has a red key. And so there's that, it's that theme, and it's because real estate's the heart of her business. That's how she tags it together, is red for heart. And so that's what I mean, is that sometimes it could be, and of course the keychain is in a heart shaped with her CH. And so I would just say that it doesn't necessarily have to be the mortgage superhero, or I don't even know if I'm sure there's a mortgage superhero, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that intentional. If you're like, well, everything I want is taken. It could be, like Marcus
Not
Lemonis,
everything's
he has,
taken.
yeah,
You're saying like not, but it has to be something, right? You have to tack something, but yeah, like the real estate guru, and I'm gonna be like Buddha in the back. It's like, come on, like that's
I think what's
where
relevant to this conversation that I can share, since people are joining from all over the US, it doesn't really matter if we share local stories, in my opinion. But there's a real estate company that we have here that's very popular, very well respected. And for a while, they ran this whole thing where on every listing that they had out in the front of the property, it was a hashtag Tosa Rocks. But then they took it a step further, the concept of Tosa Rocks, but then created groups off of that where you can, this may be popular in your community, created a Facebook group about where you paint rocks and you hide them, and then people would share all their pictures. We do that with my kids. They love to do it in the summer. Paint the rocks, you go around and hide them. People find them. If you find one, you hide it again. There's just this understanding. But the fact that they took that idea of Tosa Rocks, rolled it into a Facebook group, they were able to expand that commonality of, yeah, we love hiding rocks, painting them. And I think that works for them. Um, just sharing.
that's what like so like when people say that they're all taken, yeah, the basic ones are. The ones that are, you know, Mortgage Geek or the Mortgage Nerd or the Mortgage Doctor, or hey, those are taken. You're absolutely right, but are you really the Mortgage Doctor? Like, like is that taken? Or I love that rock one. I mean, that is phenomenal branding, right? Painting the rocks. So I always want to go into the room and I don't want to have to say, I don't go into the room or join a group going, I need to get money out of this group and I'm going into this group to get more clients, right? I go into the group saying, I really enjoy this group and I wear my glasses so that when people go, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I do mortgages. Like, I'm the mortgage nerd, And it's like, cool. So I'm going to continue going to that group. So when a mortgage comes up in their mind, I'm not selling. I don't care how many people. Well, naturally, when I don't talk about it and when I'm not going into that group because of that reason, then in turn, I actually get more business. So, like the rock thing, like painting the rock, hiding the rock, okay? Has nothing to do about real estate. Bring in a group, but it's presented by your real estate group, like maybe Keller Williams or something like that. So, every single time they pick up that rock and they post something on there, they're going to think about the actual real estate company that's actually doing it subliminally or not, but they are. I mean, that is incredible branding where now a whole community is now hiding rocks and painting rocks and doing all these fun things. And when they're going to sell their house or when they want to buy a house, the chance of them contacting that real estate group is like way higher. And wow.
It strengthened the community. And in the ones that they would paint, they would do hashtag on the back Tosa Rocks. The ones I did Wu-Tang was for the kids, but that's just me. But you would always know when you found one of their rocks. And it just kind of evolved. They had t-shirts, a double meaning, because everyone loves Tosa, the neighborhood that we live in. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about IGTV. Are you guys using it? And what are your thoughts on it? Anything?
Just started. Denise, what are you doing with it? You're like shaking your head. Yeah.
I was late actually to that party, but I have been doing it now for probably 6 to 7 months, I would say. Um, but honestly, my process for that is not much different than what I had been doing on Instagram, except for it allows for longer videos. So one of the most recent things that I did, thank gosh, in January of this year was I brought in a lot of my specialists, like my credit repair guy, an appraiser, an inspector, my financial advisor, my friend who helped me even build my own real estate portfolio with my rental properties. And I basically took a day and I set it up where it was like, okay, from 10 to 11, I want you to capture me interviewing my financial advisors, me interviewing an appraiser, me interviewing an inspector. And so I've been using those. We've taken the whole interview and we take out little pieces of it. And I've been using it for my IGTV of like, first time home buyers, they get really scared about the commitment. And, what if you buy this really expensive thing, the biggest purchase of their life, and it's a lemon? And so my thought with interviewing an inspector was easing the pain or fear of getting into a home and the roof being crap, or in Texas we need our AC units, and those are expensive. And so just putting those fears aside, that this is what we know about FICO scores. This is how we help you with your FICO score. These are the tools that we have. This is my partner who says, yes, you had your credit pulled by the Mortgage Geek last week. You can have your credit pulled by me, and it's not going to impact your score. You don't have to take my word for it. Now I've got this third party person who's not compensated to give you their opinion. And so that was kind of what I did at Q4 of last year, is what information can I bring to my clients now that's outside of mortgage, but still somewhat part of it, with it having to come directly from my mouth. So I set all those up, and they've been great. I put them on my website, I put them on IGTV, and I just post them, once a week or once every 2 weeks. I've got a whole arsenal of videos. I just save them in my arsenal and I post them when it's timely, and when it's relevant. And those have been getting really good traction on social media. My agents love it because they're learning. It's surprising what they don't know. And so that wasn't what I was intending it for. It was really more for the end consumer, but I get a lot of that. And in those same videos, I post them everywhere. So they go to my IGTV, but they also go to my YouTube channel. And sometimes on YouTube, they're unlisted so that you can't see it. Sometimes I've got a lot of videos that are unlisted, and that's usually where people will find me organically, because I don't pay. There was a question earlier with how do you promote your YouTube, or how do you get the followers? A lot of times it's just embedded. I answer a lot of questions using video, and every single time I answer a question, I just put it up on my YouTube channel. So if somebody asks me, what is the debt to income ratio? I can explain it to them, but if I'm busy, I can also copy the URL and say, hey, I'm with a client right now. Here's how the debt to income ratio works. Well, now they've just got onto my YouTube channel and they can find other videos, and they subscribe. And so I just kind of wanted to add in that question that was there.
Would you say that's similar to your strategy, Sean, with IGTV, or is yours a bit slightly different?
Let me just show you what I wrote down real quick, because I just want to show Denise.
I'm going to copy that. I mean, you already copied my glasses, so.
I just want to send out to everybody that it is okay to copy other people's ideas, especially if you're not in the same.
That is a hot topic. Gary Vee talks about that all the time, where a lot of people get so upset about like people copying on social media. And I'm like, they're like, copyright is out the door. Everybody takes something from somewhere, whether it's Pinterest or from me, and they put their own little spin on it. So just get over that, So anyways.
That's what I thought was so funny, because it's always like, oh, where'd you get that? I copied it from this guy over here. I just made it a little bit different for me. So IGTV. So yeah, like a little bit longer of the videos, which is a really good platform. I'm kind of trying to boost up a little bit more in the IGTV world. The only problem that I have with IGTV is that the consumer doesn't know how to use IGTV as well as YouTube and also Facebook to watch the video. So if you actually watch an IGTV, you have to click that little teeny button on the left-hand side. And right now in the consumer's psyche and in their brain, they have not actually been used to like touching that to see the whole video. So I started doing more videos and on a different platform as well. And the feedback was, well, I mean, when the thing scrolls up and I'm showing the picture of this, your head gets cut off and it looks so bad. I'm like, yeah, you touch this button right here. And they're like, oh my, I had no idea. And I'm like, I know. IG and Instagram did not do a actual good enough on the launch of the IGTV. So I even have like things like, press this button. And then I'll get a comment from that same person that's like, why is your head cut off? And it's like, I don't know how to answer this one. Like, I pretty much stopped the video and told you to click the button. So that's the only issue that I have with IGTV right now. I think that it will come in the future, about, getting the community and the IGTV or the Instagram followers and the users to actually click that button, which I think will be a really good platform. It's actually a really good platform because it doesn't break up the video. It's like actually a full video. Everything needs to go to handheld, right? They're like mortgage application, boom, right here. Simple Nexus has done a really phenomenal job in that. They saw the cell phone way before anyone else as a point of contact. People are using their cell phone for so many things. So I think that IGTV, it's right there. You can see what you like, and it's a very easy click through. So.
I mean, so I know both of you familiar and I see your IGTVs. What I was thinking is, for Denise, it seems to be the approach is straightforward, educational, to the consumer. When I see your IGTVs where you're rolling around in those expensive cars and talking shop, the difference there in terms of just stylized differences. And you'd mentioned earlier that you love cars and that's a part of who you are. And then how did that roll into that bit that you do on IGTV on a regular basis?
So that's actually, so I took it from Cars and Coffee,
Right.
from Jerry
Yes.
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And so again, it's okay to copy, folks. Like, it's not like Jerry
That's why I think
Seinfeld's like,
it's successful. It's your own personal spin on something that people are naturally interested in.
we already know about it, right? So they do it. So what that's actually to help my referral partners get more eyeballs onto their listings. So it's just something that I love. I love automobiles. So I made a local deal with a dealership that only deals like Rolls Royce, Bentley, Ferrari, Lamborghini. So I get one car per month. So what I do, the reason why we did it is because the third most searched content on YouTube was cars, right? So how am I going to get the eyeballs onto mortgage? Because really, essentially, the only time that someone goes onto YouTube to learn about mortgage is when they're looking to do a mortgage or they're looking to refinance. It's not like they're sitting on their couch, at the end of a hard day on Friday. They're like kicking their feet up. Their friends come over and they're like, "Yo, you check this 30-year fix video." It's like, what? Who cares? So I got the cars because everyone searches cars, right? So it's like, why not search Lamborghini? Oh my gosh, this video comes up. Now I'm pushing out a cool listing. I'm getting the eyeballs as to who I am, what I'm about. So I went out of the actual mortgage industry to go get those eyeballs because that is a consumer, to bring them into my world through what the searches are. So that's actually why and how that came about. So I'm just into cars, but so it's easy for me to talk about. But that's the actual ultimate reason why I did it, was to go get those consumers into my IG
That's
to
what I
get.
was curious about. That's awesome.
So
We've talked a lot. I'm looking at the time here. We got maybe 10 minutes left, and I wanted to take a look at some of the questions that might have come through. But when you guys think about where you are right now with your personal brands, for you, what do you see being one of your maybe proudest moments, for lack of a better word, or something that you can maybe feel really happy about when you look back as it relates to your personal brand? Anything? Or a pivotal moment where you were like, okay, this is going to work. This will be successful. I'm curious about people's aha moments and what.
For me, it was just when the number of people that started actually buying things and shipping them to me, or that had glasses on it. There'll be a coffee mug that says coffees for closers, and there's the nerd glasses, or like the monkey, or the t-shirts, or had a real estate agent pick up these gold glasses from Home Goods that are in my office up at work. Um, when I realized that people were going to the extent of buying things that had nerd glasses on them because they saw it and they thought I would like it, I was like, okay, this is becoming memorable.
Memorable, yeah.
It felt like they wanted to be part of that. And so that's when I thought, but to be honest with you, I don't really, it sounds horrible. It's not that I need that. I don't need that praise, or I don't need that recognition to a degree. today to even just still be the nerd. Because when I came up with this before the Mortgage Geek, I'm just kidding. But when I came up with it, it's just really because
I'll
that
just
is,
whip you in basketball.
it is who I am, and so I don't necessarily need that, but it was cool to start seeing, people come by and I did have a client tattoo it on their bicep. No, I'm just kidding.
That might be one of those moments then.
If somebody tattoos nerd glasses like on their flesh, that'll be my aha moment.
Yeah. Sean, is there
That it's not some weird person though that's tattooing it. My aha moment, I would say I had a couple of them when I first started doing the videos. Actually, I lost a lot of market share because people were like, "Wow, that's crazy. I'm not gonna give you business. I don't want my consumers and I don't want my clients actually seeing it." So I actually lost market share, but I knew that I just had to I had a good team behind me. They're like, "Sean, just keep pushing through," because it's against my nature to actually offend anyone, to make anyone feel, like out of place, and I don't want to ever cause that. So, but I wasn't. It was just a bunch of what I call now trolls. You know what I mean? Just trying to smash me down because they didn't think of something. So that was my biggest aha moment, was when all of the people that originally left me actually came back and was like, after like 6 or 7 months, and was like, "I can't wait for your video." And I was like, 7 months ago, you said like I was the worst, you know? Also somebody, I'm not going to name them out because a lot of people have seen them. 1 year before they actually interviewed me, they wrote a pretty nasty thing on my wall and was like, who is this guy? What does he think he's doing? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think they actually forgot that I kept it. And then 1 year later, they're interviewing me saying, "I can't believe you made such a powerful brand." And so it's like, fucking nailed it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't remember, I remember. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I made another video called Mean Tweets, and it's going to be out there on Facebook here. And I literally copied it, and I'm just reading all the mean tweets. So the reason that I did that is another aha moment is that when I affect your life so much that you leave one platform to go to another platform to then find my information, to then personally email me, I nailed you.
You're doing something right.
I got you, because what I'm doing, to like say you got a bag beard, and if you are closing over $100 million and are so successful, why are you taping your glasses together?
They don't get it.
And I'm like, I got it. That's what my aha moment is to be able to channel that and experience it and say, that's okay if someone hates me for something that this is a good video. This is actually educational. I got me dressing in drag, putting on makeup to explain the pre-approval process. Listen, I got a lot of great comments, but there are some people out there telling me that, using profanity, telling me that I'm how can I, and you, and all these different types of things, you know what I mean? And I'm just like blown away. So I'm like, my brand must be doing something where you feel the need to like try to smash me down. So I know that was a really long explanation, but I needed to get that out on air.
Keeping it real. All right, well, I'm going to take a look at the chat here, see if there's any questions we haven't answered before we call it a day. But I really appreciate you guys' time coming out here and speaking with us. Oh, looks like someone said you guys should sell tickets to that basketball challenge. That's not a bad idea.
Oh, we will.
And I don't know if we can answer this real quickly. One question came through. What was the hardest thing for you guys when you first started your brand? I think we touched on it a little bit. Is there anything else you wanted to add with regard to starting a brand and what's tricky?
Nothing's hard when you do it yourself. The only thing that's hard is staying on course to continue doing it. So it can be hard if it's not you. You can be hard if it's something that you don't have a clear path for. So what makes it hard. When it's not hard when you are you're being authentic, but you just have to pick one at the beginning and create a little bit of foundation. So another thing that could be hard is well, I want to do IGTV, Facebook, Instagram, and I want to go live on every single thing. Well, yeah, that's hard. That makes it actually really difficult. So just pick one channel, start there, build a foundation, and then grow to the other ones as you already have the viewership. So that would be my
Yeah,
recommendation.
the only thing I would add to that is kind of what Sean mentioned is that you're going to get a lot of haters with the brand. It's, anytime you're stepping out and doing something, I can't tell you how many people were like, why are you wearing the glasses? I used to have a picture that was like this, and there were people that didn't like it, and I was like, I don't really care. So you have to have thick skin. The other thing you have to have is you can't have instant gratification from all this. Your expectation can't be that. So a lot of people will have consultations with me saying, I want to build my social media exposure, and they get frustrated like 3 weeks in or 3 months in that they don't feel like they're getting that rate of return, and it's like, what is the rate of return on social media? Well, what is the rate of return on a piano? Like for me, it's nothing. But for Elton John, it was, millions. So it's all in how you use it, but you have to be consistent and you have to be committed. And it's going to take a while. It does not happen overnight. It probably took me a solid 12 months of consistency on all the platforms, all the groups. Um, and yeah, I can do it from the comfort of my house. Half the time I do it in bed. And there's apps that you can do that helps with posting it everywhere for you. To me, I don't think they look as organic. I'm really anal about making sure it looks organic. So it's a time commitment. You have to time block it. You have to schedule it. You have to come up with the content. It has to be appealing, and it's going to take you 12 months. It's like if you want to lose 50 pounds, you didn't gain 50 pounds in 3 weeks. You're not going to lose 50 pounds in 3 weeks. So don't have unrealistic expectations. Be consistent and have thick skin when people try to throw shade, because if it's who you are, then who gives a crap? Like,
Well, I think we had a lot of great nuggets in the call today. I appreciate again your guys' times. For those on the call, we're going to send out a follow-up email. It'll have links to all of their different social platforms, some other links in there of value so you guys can see exactly what they're doing if you haven't checked it out yet. So again, I just want to say a big thank you to you guys. Appreciate your time. And yeah, this was monumental. Thank you. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, everyone.